Hi everyone, it's Danielle with Northlawn Flower Farms. Welcome to the June garden tour. We're so thankful that you decided to join us here in the garden today. My wonderful husband is helping me film today. Just so you know, our garden is here in Zone 6B, Lancaster County. We're a certified pollinator friendly garden. We don't use any pesticides here on our organic farm. And we also sell cut flowers here on our half-acre property. So let me just tour you around, see all the wonderful things that are blooming, and I hope our time together brings you a lot of joy. And if it does, please consider subscribing to my channel. That really helps us out. All right, let's see some beautiful things. So now here we are at the driveway garden, and this garden changes all the time because I cut from it really heavily. And if you watched my hardy annual tour, you might have seen this whole bed covered in imperial blue larkspur, but I pulled most of it out. I've harvested a lot of it for dry production, and now I put in some things for our second wave. So we have a beautiful antique hydrangea right here. This is one of the only plants that was here on the property when we moved in, but I didn't even know it was a hydrangea at the time. It was just basically just the base of the plant, and it's grown back. We've been here 4 years, and now she's finally back to good health, so I'm really happy about that. In the corner here, I have some beautiful guacamole coral bells. Along the whole edge of the driveway, I put lyrope. And then most of the other things you'll see here are things I've done from seed. So this is just starting to bloom now, and it's called Flamingo Celosia. It's kind of interesting to see how it turns out because it was one of those packets where it's just a drawing and it looked really a vibrant pink in the drawing, but it's a very, very pastel pink blooming here for me. If you saw the videos where I potted up dahlias early, they're now starting to bloom. So we have some really beautiful large dahlias. Arabian Night is blooming. Back there we have a fig, Chicago fig. If you're in a zone similar to me, I'm in zone 6B, the Chicago fig is really reliable and you don't have to give it a lot of winter protection. You'll see a lot of lilies in here, which is our next big harvest. So all back there we have the white Oriental lilies here, and they're just scattered all throughout this bed. Let's see, what do I have here? Cherokee Sunset Rudbekia, which looks gorgeous. They have those kind of tucked in everywhere. The lime thyme coleus, which is looking great. I took some cuttings from that to see if I can work on some cuttings. Some mums, and this is a beautiful, beautiful Rudbekia that you can still plant now. It's called Prairie Sun Rudbekia, and it makes a wonderful cut flower. I think a lot of people are used to that Rudbekia that just kind of shows up in the landscape naturally, the smaller flower with the black center. But these have a beautiful green center, and they make a wonderful cut flower. Rudbekia is a dirty flower, so you always want to be sure to add some bleach into the vase when you're cutting it. So you can see some remnants of the larkspur there, and I seeded in some tithonia. It's just starting to bloom. And I had another nursery sale yesterday, and I got this ridiculous coleus, which I tucked in here because there was all this larkspur here and there was a big hole. So I tucked that in. That's going to be really beautiful. Every time I put the Color Blaze series into the landscape, I'm immediately satisfied. And I'm not getting paid to say that or anything. That's just genuinely how I feel about that. Now, here is something that I've grown from seed this year that I'm really excited about. I would really encourage you to try it. It's super easy. It's called Lambada, and it's an annual version of Monarda. So let's take a closer look at it. Here it is, all around here. It's surrounding this Pearl Glam beauty berry that I have, which in retrospect, it's planted too close, but that's all right. But look at these beautiful, beautiful purple whorls. The foliage smells, it smells like, it's very herby smelling. Somebody said it smells like Earl Grey tea. I'm not sure about that, but it definitely has a distinct smell all its own. But I treated this as a hardy annual planted in the late winter this year, and it was fine. It didn't really grow at all until it got hot, but it was definitely being fine placed out early. So beautiful. I would definitely try giving this seed a try. As I said, the Tithonia there. I have some sunflowers tucked in all over the place. So now we can probably head over to the main garden walk. Here's a limelight here in the corner, which I brought over from our other property. That's the oldest shrub on our property that I'm the original mother to, shall we say. I guess it's probably 7 years old now. But you know, once that starts blooming, you can't even see the porch there, and it's really glorious. I love limelights. So this is what I like to call the main garden walk, or the main flower walk. I guess I call it that because I love Longwood Gardens, and that's what they call their main flower walk. So we can just walk down here together. So you'll see a lot of things that are kind of transitioning out, and a lot of things that are just starting to come in. That's kind of the odd thing about the end of June here in our garden, but still a lot of beautiful things to see. So you see the yarrow is petering out. I really didn't cut too heavily on it this season. I had enough other cuts for this stand, but it's beautiful. And we have a serviceberry tree planted here, which gets these great berries. They're really small this year, but if you can get them before the birds do, they taste just like blueberries. I have the beautiful tiny wine 9 bark planted there in the corner, and a lot of people ask me what that is when they see it in videos. Tiny wine 9 bark. Really beautiful, really great cut foliage. So here I took a video of this bed, which is in transition. You know, our garden is a working garden. We're selling cut flowers. Things are always growing, being cut, and then changed over. So that's what you're seeing here. So we have the edge of Burgarten sage along this side and that side. And I just planted the Color Blaze Velveteen Coleus, which it already, once again, it just looks beautiful. And I seeded in that Tithonia with you all, and it's already up. So I see it's got its baby leaves, and it's gonna be beautiful. This here in the, oh no, I see my first Japanese beetle of the season. Someone just asked me about that the other day. And there's one right here, and they love this. This was also on the property when we moved in. At first I thought it was some kind of viburnum. And what happens is the Japanese beetles love it. They attack it, they eat it all the way to the ground. And so every year I hack it back. After, you know, I kill them all, I just hit them into a bucket of soapy water. But they do so much damage, I cut it back. Anyway, I think it's a witch hazel. Let me know what you think. I'm really not sure, because as I say, I always have to hack it all the way back to the ground because, you know, look at the damage that they do. So I have to get my bucket of soapy water out. It's not even July and they're already here. All right. This area looks a little bit like it's going out. In the Hardy annual tour, it was really at its peak. So here in the corner, I have a beautiful Arctic Fire yellow dogwood, which is just starting to get its white berries. We have Foxy Foxglove here. I cut what I needed. Everything that I didn't need, I'm going to leave to go to seed and seed itself. So that's what you're seeing now. Back behind it, I have a Firelight hydrangea, which is a beautiful hydrangea with red blooms. And then back behind that, I have, what is that? Blue Celeste sweet pea. That's a Blue Celeste sweet pea. I also grew a Queen of the Nile sweet pea, but Blue Celeste really was a more vigorous performer. Down here we have a hedge of catnip, which the bees love, the cats love. Actually, Rocky is coming to maybe nibble on some right now. At this point, I could cut it back, but there's so much bee activity on it. I'm going to wait on it and let it look, you know, a little bit worse for the wear and then cut it back. You can see the obedient plant is really starting to get tall and take off, and it doesn't bloom until August. You can see a weed there in the corner. Always weeds somewhere around here, and that's okay, no worries. Here's another limelight. This might be interesting to see. This limelight is either 3 or 4 years old, and you can see it's already taller than I am. So if you are looking for a large shrub, the limelight really will get as big as it says. Back here, or down here rather, I have some beautiful Coreopteris. This variety is called Moonbeam, and it really just sparkles at night. See all the bees? So we're a pollinator certified garden, and just the bees just love all these things. And I get a lot of questions about what it means to be a pollinator certified garden. Well, first of all, it means that we don't use any pesticides here on our property, but it's also a lot about planting native plants all throughout each season. So you have basically 3 perennials in the spring blooming native, 3 shrubs blooming native, 3 trees blooming native, and henceforth through the spring, summer, fall, and winter, so that you're always supporting your natural ecosystem. You have to have water on your property, you have to have bare dirt, and you have to be committed to not planting invasive species. So it's a lot to it more than just not using pesticides, because I think when I say that, people just assume, oh, she just doesn't use pesticides, but there's a lot more to it. It's really about supporting the ecosystem that you live in. Okay, so we can travel down here. This is just such a wonderful perennial. If you're looking for something for the back of the border, Joe Pieweed. Look how big it is. You know, if I get in here with it, taller than me, I'm 5'5". By the time this guy blooms, probably almost 6 feet. Next year it'll be 6 feet for sure, because it's 3 years old. You know, sleep, creep, leap, the 3rd year, all these things really take off. But a great perennial. And guess what? Oh, you can kind of see it back there. I have a Rudbekia maxima back there. It's also a really tall perennial. I don't know if you can see like the middle conical part of it there, but the goldfinches, they love that. And I have another sweet pea trellis right there, which is completely buried at this point. And some yellow yarrow looking great, ready to be harvested. Down here I have lamb's ear, which is from my grandma's garden. Just a little piece I got from her garden, and now I sprinkle it in everywhere. And I put in some lantana I just got them each for $1, so I couldn't resist. All right, so moving along, we have a beautiful Vitex, which gets beautiful purple blooms in July normally. Lebanon Mist starting to fade out and get its beautiful pods. We have the cornflowers, which are still growing strong. The blue ones are still looking good. And you'll see some milkweed just kind of popping up everywhere at this point. Sunflowers everywhere. Here on both sides of me, I have zinnias, which I'm about to pinch back. And look at these sunflowers. I am so happy with this seed. This is called Chianti Hybrid Sunflower. It's a dark colored sunflower, but more importantly, it's pollenless, because there are a lot of sunflowers that come in dark colors, but most of them have pollen, which means it's not a good cut flower because it will shed that pollen on your customer's table or clothes or whatever. But Chianti Hybrid is pollen free. So I couldn't be happier with that seed. 100% germination. Definitely one to plant and look for at the store. Back behind that, and I love that these colors match. So we have the Chianti Hybrid, and then we have ginger wine 9 bark back there with the beautiful burgundy foliage, the beautiful seed pods it's getting now. Just stunning. I love to see that combo. That makes me really happy. And then the lemony lace elderberry there. I like the way that looks. This sweet pea trellis is the only one you can really see because all the other ones are covered up. But there you can see a little bit more of Queen of the Nile. She gets, you know, some pink, some purple, and some kind of a blue purple. Back behind that is some hollyhock. And I got this hollyhock seed from my girlfriend about 3 years ago. I just scattered it on the ground and it's beautiful. We are having issues with the spotted lanternfly this year. And you might have heard that they like things like tree of heaven and grapes and other kind of fruit-bearing trees, but in my garden I've noticed they really, really love the hollyhocks for some reason. Just something to be aware of. A lot of other things here, but not blooming yet, so maybe we'll skip them. Another limelight, a younger one, some dahlias tucked all in through here, some lisianthus in there, just starting to almost break open, but not breaking open yet. Here is a stunning, stunning hydrangea. This is Annabelle. Look at these humongous blooms. I don't even know, I'm speechless to look at it. It's so worth the money to buy these kinds of blooming shrubs. You know, they give you all this impact in the landscape. You pick them at the right stage when they're fully mature. You can use them in the vase. You can use them dried forever. This is where I put my money. I basically sell cut annuals so that I can buy plants like this. That's the truth. This is a Pinky Winky hydrangea. I moved it at the beginning of the season, so we'll see how it does this year. I mean, it'll do fine and it'll bloom, but it's gonna look smaller than it should. Some mallow here, some baby's breath that has really gone over at this point. I think you saw me move this giant hosta in a video. It's doing absolutely fine. Underplanted with some lady's mantle and some dusty miller. And some beautiful hydrangeas here in this area. We have tough stuff hydrangea, Gatsby Gal, a snowflake hydrangea back in there, a double star hydrangea, which I can't remember the name of, is in the corner there. Let's Dance Rave hydrangea, beautiful, my new favorite hydrangea right here, right here. This hydrangea I picked up at a sale maybe like 2 years ago. I can't remember the name, but it likes it here. So now we're at my grandma's garden. Not too much is blooming. The daisies are starting to come on, and I think I need to trim this bush back a bit so they can get some more sun. But this is a more free feel woodland garden. To be honest, it needs a lot of work, but I think I'm gonna get to it next year. So now we can see the vegetable garden and some cut flowers. So this bed is going to be changed over pretty much after we film this tour, because you can see the love in the mist completely gone over at this point. I'll go ahead and harvest any pods I want for drying, and then I'm going to rip it all out. Same with the larkspur. I'm done cutting from it. I'm going to rip it out and replace it. We have foxglove in there and also some jalapenos. And I'll probably just put some zinnias here. Or maybe some pro-cut sunflowers by Johnny's, go about 55 days to harvest. Here we have some sweet banana peppers, which everyone in our family loves. I keep having this poppy fall over, but we have a whole area of onions in here. The onions are looking beautiful. And back here we have Florist Poppy, and Florist Poppy is grown more for the pods themselves than for the blooms. But the blooms are beautiful too. Hi, Rocky. But see, this one keeps falling over, but you can see how huge that pod is. So now we can move on to these absolutely stunning frosted salmon poppies. This is the first time I've ever grown this poppy, and just look at that. They're just absolutely beautiful. They look like a huge carnation or a huge pom-pom. I am having issues with what I call the poppy hanging their head, which is the stem comes up and then it curls downward. And to be honest with you, I am not sure why that's happening. I've tried to figure out if that's happening to other growers, but this particular variety and the peony type variety of poppy do not make a good cut flower. If you're looking for a cut flower poppy, you want to go with something like an Iceland poppy or a Shirley poppy, and then you can actually light the end of their stem on fire and then use it as a cut flower. But these guys are more of a landscape plant. They are really, really beautiful. So back here we have some Dara coming on. You know, really, really beautiful. Isn't that dark, beautiful color? I love it. Really adds a lot of beautiful sparkle to a bouquet. I treated this as a hardy annual. Once again, it was fine, but it really didn't put on any significant growth until it got hot. Oh, I see a spotted lanternfly right now. If my husband, my dear husband, wants to get close on that. So you can see what a spotted lanternfly looks like if you are maybe in Pennsylvania, Maryland. Can you see it there? The black and white. Can you see that, hon? He's kind of moving around now. So I'm gonna go ahead and I just killed him, okay? So he's an invasive pest. We do not want to let him live in the garden. We have a lot of apple trees, and once he gets big and gets his sucking mouth part, we are in for it. So we need to take care of that. So back here, we have all different kinds of tomatoes. They're all doing great. Peppers, and you can see the cosmos over there. Well, guess what about the cosmos? Let's take a closer look. So, you know when you buy seeds from somewhere and it says double click Cosmo, and so you take quite care to take really good care of them all because you love double click Cosmo, and then they turn out to not be double click? That's exactly what happened here. This is not a double click Cosmo. It's just your normal Cosmo. So I'm gonna contact the seed company on this because, to be honest, I'm really disappointed. I wanted double click. They're not double click. Sometimes it happens, but it is good to report back to the seed company so that they know that this is happening, because this is the whole packet of seed and not one single flower is a double click. All right, now we can see another seed issue that I had, which is for the first time I planted a sunflower called Peach Passion Sunflower. I planted it because it was supposed to get 4 feet tall and be pollenless. Well, I'm going to pull one out for you because I'm going to replant this. It's certainly not 4 feet tall, certainly not a usable cut, but you live and learn. Now, did I do something wrong with the seed? Not that I know of, but you know, these things happen. So this whole area needs replanted because it's kind of all a waste, to be honest. Now check out these black raspberries. And we've just really been picking on these a lot. I've just been making cakes and pies and all kinds of things. But my husband built this wonderful support system for the black raspberries. We had kind of a row here of persimmon trees that were all dead when we first moved in. So he cut them down and made these wonderful support systems for the black raspberries. So it makes harvesting really, really easy and wonderful. Back here we can see some corn that I planted starting to come in. But back here, it's not too much to see. We just have compost and wheelbarrows and all that kind of stuff. Not really anything too fun to see. So now let's go back around to the hydrangea bed. So on our way to the hydrangea bed, we can stop and take a look at a few of our apple trees. This is what I think is a Macintosh apple. It was here when we got here. And it's really, really a wonderful apple for fresh eating and especially baking. The next apple tree comes on a little bit earlier, and to my best educated guess, it's a Summer Rambo apple. I don't know if you can see that, but these are great. They taste very similar to a Granny Smith, except they're ready to harvest a lot sooner than a Granny Smith. Check out these chairs that we got for free. Can you believe someone was giving these away for free? Of course, my wonderful handy husband was able to fix them. They were falling apart a little bit, but my husband can fix just about anything. So now we have these stunning chairs here for free. So you can see here that I've made some changes to the hydrangea bed that I planted initially. And that's because these plants were pretty mature when I got them. They were already focused on coloring up their flowers, and they really could not take the 2 hours of afternoon sun that they were getting. So for this year, I moved the big leaf, mountain, and oak leaf hydrangeas to the area over there that we saw. And I put the smooth Lemada hydrangea here. And I brought over a pink lemonade panicle hydrangea that I already had. And these guys can take that afternoon sun a lot better than the big leaves and the mountains. But all that to say that if I would have planted smaller shrubs without any blooms on, more importantly, earlier in the season, as soon as spring came on, they would have been fine over here, but they just didn't have enough time to get their root system established. So I want to go ahead, I don't want to lose those plants, I put them over in a lot more shade. But we have a Crape Myrtle here, a beautiful reblooming lilac. This one is pink. I tucked in kind of a wave of lantana. Here I have a beautiful perennial, which makes a nice cut flower called clustered bellflower. And then I have the angelonia there. Back here we have a celosia from seed called Neo Rose, which is a really beautiful fan celosia. And I have 3 cotton plants this year. I've never grown cotton before, but I thought it seemed like a fun thing to do. So if you've grown cotton, please let me know your tips and tricks. It seems like after they flower, you're supposed to stop watering them. So just let me know, because it's my first time with those. Another reblooming lilac. A lot of people asking what this is. It's Haas Halo Hydrangea. Once we hit the middle of the day, this thing will be absolutely covered in bees. They love it. A mini mauvet hydrangea here. I can't wait to see that bloom and see the color difference between the mauvet and Invincible Spirit 2, which is really coming into her prime. I want to get another one of these because I really love this hydrangea. I love the support they give to people that have cancer. When you buy this shrub, they donate $1 per shrub to the American Breast Cancer Foundation. So I want to pick up another one of these. I have some calendula, which I intended to cut and I haven't been cutting from it. And we have some liatris back there from my grandma's house. And so now we're going to start to travel back down the main flower walk, going this way. I have another hydrangea down here. I think this one is American Beauty hydrangea. I got that on sale at the end of the season. Here's another kind of funny seed thing. I planted peach melba nasturtium from seed because once again in the picture it looked peach, like a light peach, but it's still a bright hot color. This is a trap crop, so you can see what's in here right now even. A stink bug, actually it looks like. This is a trap crop, so it's kind of going to get all eaten up, but that's okay, that's what it's there for. This is a beautiful, beautiful Japanese cedar, absolutely amazing all year round. If I could start all over again, I would definitely plant this again and plant it right here. I think it's just perfect. This is a wonderful flower to grow. It's called Nicotiana if you've never grown it before. I'm growing just the lime variety this year, but it's beautiful dainty blooms, you know, and it smells great too. A lot of things here kind of going out. You know, we saw the zinnias. This is, I think, Bananarama. What's wrong with my mind? I'm going to put it on the screen, what that is. Lantana, Bananarama lantana. Another limelight, and you see back there just a whole bunch of milkweed for the monarchs. So does it look wild? Yes. Do we mind? Absolutely not. And you can see too the milkweed bug. Can you see that, hon? Do you see all those red bugs with the dots all over them? Those guys love milkweed, but don't worry if you see them because they're only going to feast on the milkweed. So next up, we have these beautiful straw flowers. Straw flowers don't have beautiful foliage, but they sure do have beautiful flowers. And if you're into dried flowers, you know, there's really nothing like a straw flower. They close up during the night. So if we were to take this footage, it's about 7:30 now. If we took this footage at 2 o'clock, this would be wide open. So that's really fun. Down here from seed, we have the Quist series of Gomphrena, a great cut flower and a great dried flower. This beautiful shrub is just a baby. It is, a gold smoke bush, Winecraft gold smoke bush, I'm pretty sure. I'll correct myself on the screen if I'm wrong. But smoke bush is also another wonderful cut flower. And this one only gets 4 feet by 4 feet. More Prairie Sun Rudbekia. And just some day lilies tucked in. So I think now we can go to the front yard and see what's going on there. So as we go around to the front of the property, you can see this Cortland apple tree, which also has pink lady apple grafted onto it. We have forsythia all around the property, and also Rose of Sharon's border our entire property. So we're getting here to the edge of the road, and down here is where I set my stand up. So I said before I didn't really love the front. I think I made a small amount of progress, but I still don't really love it, but it is what it is. I put a limelight here and a limelight on the other side. We have some nice hostas and some iris, but don't look too closely. Not too much to see here because it's just so loud up here. It's hard. It's hard for me to want to garden up here because of how loud it is and how many thistles have been here since the beginning. Like I say, I think I'm making, and mimosa trees. There were these huge mimosa trees here when we first brought the property, and they want to just always grow back. No matter how much I hack on them, they want to grow back. So maybe that's helpful to see that, you know, sometimes it's hard. It's a struggle sometimes, and it's definitely a struggle for me up here. Because it seems like if I'm up here one day and I take care of it and it looks great, a week later I come back up here and it looks a mess again. So I guess that you could say I focus my attention on the back. But there is a beautiful hydrangea over here I want you to see. So another limelight here which I put in, and look at this stunning hydrangea. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. I hope this makes you want to plant a beautiful big leaf hydrangea because this is amazing. This is original to the property. Our property was built in 1947, and I've been told by our neighbors that the original owner sold this hydrangea to florists. So I think that's a wonderful just kind of circle of life. She's not with us anymore, but here I am now selling this flower to florists. Not too much to see here. Some grasses, some evergreens. This is a quince, which is really nice early in the season, and then it doesn't look like much. But now we can just basically circle back into our property right through here. These are Kilojimaro viburnums, which get a beautiful disc flower right here, a really nice strong foliage in the vase. So now we can sneak back into our garden this way. Come on in, you're welcome to come. You can see some more black raspberries come back here, some tithonia, and you can get a nice close look at Queen of the Nile right here. I think that's really stunning. Well, I think we've really seen all of the garden at this point. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us for this garden tour. I hope it brings you some joy and some peace. And if you've never given gardening a try before, I would just encourage you to get out there and get into the soil. It's healthy for your body, it's healthy for your mind, and I just want to encourage you that you can do it. Until next time, happy gardening. Bye.